Another great find from our buddy, the Digger. The Digger. Cindy the Digger. I'm going to send her a shovel. Because she found this oldie but a goodie. I've seen it a long time ago. I've seen it in a different form than this one. It was written out. I haven't seen the original. But this is a letter that an inmate sent to Judge Francis. And it was filed with the court. And they looked it over. They must not have thought much about it, but it's interesting. This is hearsay, though. But this isn't the first time we've had inmates write letters about Darlie. So I'm going to do my best I can to read this out. It's written kind of funny. And like James Cron, I have to put my good eyes on, because I got bad eyesight. So I'm a terrible person for having bad eyesight. And I'm probably kind of stupid because I can't see this letter. But like James Cron, I'm gonna go ahead and put my eyeballs on and read this, and bear with me. I've got terrible eyesight. You must not be able to listen to anything that I've got to say because I've got terrible eyesight. Judge Robert Francis, State District Judge. I can't see a date on this. I'm looking hard at the screen to get this because I can't bring it up anymore. Just go back. Oh yeah, there gives me a little bit. All right, let's see here. If I bring it up, give me a little bit, didn't she? All right. Judge Robert Francis, State District Judge. I would like to bring to your attention some remarks made by Darlie Routier. She told another prisoner in the jail that she is getting off for murdering her two sons. She talks to lots of inmates over the jail cell speaker box. It's in the door. You can yell. And she talks about sex, dressing up in leather outfits, and little whips. She said that she has the insurance money that she could have got for killing her boy. She said she is not a criminal and she did not know how to do the crime and get away with it. She said someone is trying to kill the court reporter. Someone is going to kill the court reporter if she doesn't falsify her records. So she will get a mistrial. Now check this out. How does this inmate that wasn't in the courtroom and it wasn't televised know that there was a problem with the transcripts and mention the court reporter specifically? And that's just a question. Where are we at? Someone is going to kill the court reporter if she doesn't falsify her records, so she will get a mistrial. They paid the court reporter to do what she did about the tapes. I don't know how the inmate would know. Remember, it wasn't televised. I mean, unless something was on the news about it. I don't know. The male inmates and female inmates talk to each other through the cell microphones system from each individual cell. Just about every jail that I've been in, you'll be in a room and there's a speaker. You have to have an emergency speaker so you can buzz if you need something, and it goes down to control and they'll come back, what do you want? If you're having a heart attack or something, whatever, then they'll ignore you and let you die. But there are speakers in there like that. So if you don't press the button, you can just You can just talk into it to the next cell and then pass it on and on and on. You can also speak in the heat vents. The heat vents that are along the edge of the walls. You can speak in that. I'll tell you another thing that we used to do. If you ever anybody's ever been in jail, you know that when you flush that toilet, I mean it's like a fucking volcano. I mean it pulls down hard. So you could order commissary, right? You could order food and stuff. You could order Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, your favorite drinks, Mountain Dew, but they didn't come cold. You'd get a bottle of it, but it didn't come cold. So what we would do is clean out our toilet really, really well. Big steel toilet, just clean it up. Clean it up with toothpaste usually, and then flush it. And then we would put a our bottle of pop inside of a trash bag and tie it up. And they did give you trash. You had a small trash bag, and tie it up real tight, and hold it and put it in the water of the toilet, and flush it maybe 3 or 4 times, maybe a little bit more, with that water going over top of it. It makes it cold. It makes your pop cold. It seems kind of nasty, but you know what else is nasty? Drinking a hot fucking Pepsi. Anyway, okay. All cells have speakers box in them, and the voices carry through the conduit somehow. Yeah, I've heard that's in other jails. It's like that too. Let me see here. There's small. I can't get down from this part here. Darlie gets on the speaker box and moans to inmates while she masturbates herself. While some lesbian, I don't know, same thing. It just goes on to that. She said her husband was part of the plot in the money, but they are not together now because they are afraid he will be indicted. They are keeping it all quiet with the offs out there. Then there will be back together. Okay. When she gets out, then they will be back together. I will testify to what I hear or her say, but I am afraid she will find it out. And she told me and have me killed. She has powerful people out in the outside. The court reporter life is in jeopardy if you, the court, make her verify the accuracy of the court records. Okay, that's okay. The threat was made to Susan Simmons. If you'll verify the accuracy of this transcript, then Miss Halsey's life is in danger. Okay, she is talking about Halsey. Darlie fell in love with another inmate here through the speaker box, and they talk about her case all the time. I wanted to bring this to your attention. I would like to talk to you. I am scared, and sometimes I'm scared several. I hear it several times a day. Darlie, often on the speaker box, and have a fresh out room. I don't know. I'll have a freak out session with whoever would talk to her while she masturbates. And she talks her fantasy as well. We call it Darlie Live on the speaker box. She is she a hat having women and real real gushy and perverted. Very, there's no doubt that she did what she did to her boys. Now, you would want to jump on this and go, look, oh my God, yeah, look what this person said. And look at that. Yeah, there's another person. This makes Darlie look guilty. It doesn't. It's interesting. It's very interesting, but I don't give any of it at all credit. But I know that this is not the first time we've heard of sexual things. Darlie Live. They actually did a news clip on this. And I think that the people that looked it over, okay, so this is just an inmate trying to give out information that they didn't get to help them with their own case. I don't believe any of this. I mean, I know she knows a little bit. I know that Darlie is really sexual, and I know that she did fall in love with another inmate. Two male inmates, actually. One was Phil Adams, and the other was that. I know this is about the fourth time there's been some kind of letter or something that was very sexy about Darlie with different people. But this one, I don't believe. I believe that she may have been talking on the mic. She may have been playing around in the jail a little bit. Because even if you're waiting on a trial, you don't sit around and mope. You just don't. All right, you might mope for a little while, but once you realize that you've got to be in there until this court trial is over, you either adapt to it. You either do your time or your time will do you. So even though there's people in there waiting on court case for murder or something like that, that doesn't mean they're not going to go play cards. That doesn't mean they're not going to play chess. That doesn't mean they don't want to sit and watch a football game. That doesn't mean they don't want to laugh and joke a little bit. Because you will literally go crazy if you sit in there and dwell on what's happening in court. Really. And I think Darlie probably found that out real fast. So if she was talking a little bit sexy or masturbating in the for other people, that doesn't make her a killer. It makes her fucking bored. I don't think that Greg Davis took a look at this. This is the letter that caused them to go up and no, it couldn't be. Never mind. There was some letter that caused them to go into Darlie's cell and confiscate her mail. They could do that. You don't have a right to mail. And as an inmate. There were times in the penitentiary that if a CO wanted to get at you and get on your nerves, and they did it all the time. They would bring their fucking problems from home in. You had to deal with it, or they'd thump you up. There's nothing you can do about it. But these COs, at Pickaway where I was at, this one CO, he would do this to you. You'd be sitting on your bunk, mind your own business, and he'd just pop up, sit on your bunk next to you, and open up your box, and grab, because we'd save your letters, and grab your letters and just sit there and start reading them with you, sitting right next to it. And it could be a letter your girlfriend wrote you or your mom. And there's not a thing you can do about it. There's nothing you can say, nothing you can do, nothing. You have to deal with it. It's prison life. And they did that quite often, especially around count times. If anybody knows the prison life, you have probably 3 count times a day, usually 9, 3, and 7. That's what they're hollering. Count time. That's where you have to stop doing what you're doing and get over by your sleeping area, your bunk or your cell. And then the CO will come around and count bodies. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and get the number. And then they'll match the number that the CO's counted to the inmate roster to be sure no one's missing. So, and during count times, that's after count was over. That's usually when they would sit down and read your mail, tear up your shit, just throw it all over your bed. There's nothing you can do about it. I worked as a captain's. First, I worked in the officers' dining room, which is cool. We could cook for the officers, which meant that they would bring things in that the regular inmates weren't getting. I mean, I was getting steak. I was getting all kinds of stuff that they would bring in, right? Because sometimes the officers worked a 3-day shift on, right? And then off for 3 days and 3-day shift back. But the officers would always bring stuff in. I'd be making spaghetti and lasagna, and everybody knows I'm a damn good cook. I mean, I am a certified chef. And believe it or not, I worked in it for 40 years. A certified working chef. And so that's how I got that job. They knew my background. That's what I was doing. But anyways, I was able to uh, get the goodies because I had the good job. It's nice, Sometimes they'd bring me in ribs or whatever, and they wouldn't let me eat what they made, but they would get me Burger King or Wendy's or something like that. It just depended. But usually when I made dinner for them, I got to eat what was made, especially if I did a good job, and they loved it. So that helped me out a lot with the COs. Yeah, they would come up, oh, good job, and I just have to, yeah, thanks, because you don't talk to COs. You don't make buddies with the COs. You just don't do that because they think you're a snitch. Now, I had a little bit of issue just because I worked in the officers' dining room, but I did not engage with the COs. Very little. I just did my job, you know. And if they'd say, "Hey, you don't have to cook today, but we're going to McDonald's. We're getting this pizza. You want some pizza?" I'd be like, "Yeah." Or we're going to Arby's Day. You want us to bring you some back? Yeah, it was really cool. That was a pretty cool job. That was a pretty cool job. It's all about status. If you end up in the penitentiary for some reason or other, and I do know that wrongful convictions happen because I got one, and that wasn't because of the court system. It's because somebody lied. They lied on me, and you can't. There's certain times you can't defeat a lie. But I would do what I did to end up in the prison for the 2 to 15 year sentence that I got. I would do exactly what I did again, and I told the court that. I said, because if you're trying to teach me something here, you're not going to teach me, because I'll do the same thing tomorrow. I'll do it again. I'm absolutely 100% proud of what I've done. And the judge gave me the minimum after I made that statement. When they said, "You got anything you want?" They wanted me to take plea bargain. I wouldn't do it. And they said, "Do you want to make any statements before we pass sentence?" All right. I went to prison because some dude jumped on my wife. He smacked her over a parking spot. Smacked her, and she called me at work. Not the wife I've got now, the one I had before that. She called me at work. I worked at Emory Air Freight in Dayton. She called me at work. I told my boss what was going on. Clocked out. Went home. Kicked the guy's door in. Dragged him out in the hallway and beat the fuck out of him for putting his hands on my wife. So that's burglary with intent to commit assault. Burglary with intent to commit felonious assault since he went to the hospital. Uh, they arrested me. They took me over there, and they lied on me all through court. They didn't say anything about slapping my wife. They didn't say. It was just me arguing with him. They didn't say anything about the 10 guys that jumped on me later on that night, tried to beat me down, but they couldn't. I didn't go to the hospital. I got jumped on by 10 guys, 10 gangster disciples. I didn't go to the hospital. And this little white boy went on down there to that door, and that guy that put his hands on my wife, he went to the hospital. And they tried to get me to plea to just simple assault. It would have carried 6 months in jail because I hurt him. And I said, no, I'm not pleading anything. I'm not guilty. I was defending my family. I'm not guilty. Period. Any man that lets some man smack his wife and that lives down the hallway from you and doesn't jump on that man for that, he don't deserve that wife. He really don't. So, the judge, I wouldn't take the deal. And I told the judge what happened. I said, but he had to do something. Check this out. Had a black judge, black prosecutor. I mean, a whole courtroom full of black folks. And I had a guy that pointed at me. The guy that I beat his tail, the one that smacked my wife, he stood up on the stand when they asked him to identify the person in the room. And he stood up and he goes, there he is right there sitting in the jail outfit. He called me a nigger. That's what he said. Of course, when I was fighting with 10 black folks, that word may have came out of my mouth, but I didn't call him that. I wouldn't have cared if he was black, white, green, yellow, upside down. You put your hands on my wife, and then I try to knock on your door and call you out, and you don't want to come out. You got somebody behind you who pulls a gun on me. I just kicked in. I saw the gun. I was talking to the guy in the doorway. He had the chain on the door. I saw the gun. And once I saw the gun, I reacted. I kicked in the door, and I grabbed him by his head, and I smacked that gun out of that other guy's hand, and I pulled this guy out in the hallway, and I proceeded to play, what was that song? I played a couple good songs on the top of his head there, and then I took my knee, and I jammed it into his throat, and I cracked his ribs. And I pulled him by his hair and dragged him down to almost where my hallway is. Tell her you're sorry. Tell her you're sorry. He couldn't even tell her she was sorry. And just like when the judge asked me if I have anything to say before he passed the sentence, like I said, I told him, I'll do the same thing again tomorrow, buddy. I said, because if you're trying to teach me something, you ain't teaching me nothing today. Nothing. And out of the 2 to 15 years that I could have got, he gave me 2 years. He gave me the minimum because he knew it was bullshit. But he still had to do something. He couldn't let me walk on that because I put him in the hospital. So he had to do something. So he gave me the minimum. And granted, I shouldn't have kicked his door in. But he gave me the minimum. And then even on that, when I got in, I don't know, it was about 16 months, I wrote my own shock. And then I went up to the board because they saw me because I wrote a shock up. And I went up to the board and they asked me, why should we let you out? And I was honest with them. And I said it just like this because you don't have to be all proper. They know you're an inmate. They said, why should we let you out? I said, I don't give a fuck if you let me out or not. I only got 6 months left on my sentence and I can do that on my bunk, asleep. And you know what they did? They let me out. Out of 269 inmates that went up to the board that day, only 2 of us got paid. It was me and another guy. And the only reason they paid us because we didn't go in there going, oh, please, I've changed and I've done this and I'll never, ever. No, I told them I could fuck you let me out or not. So they let me out. Oh, the justice system. But no, I don't give this too much. It's interesting. I believe there's maybe a little bit of truth to it, but it's just interesting about the case. That's all. What do you think? Can you read it?